I'm encouraged when you talk about voice of the customer, empathy, humanity, the application of design thinking. Very much, we're very much aligned on that. Just thinking about, as a data leader, what do you think are the biggest impediments in moving from kind of so what to now what, in moving from this is what the data mean to this is what the business should do as a result? Is it common failings? Is it the not speaking the same language? Or are there other things that get in the way of moving from data to insight and action?
I think it's a complex issue, but some of the main drivers are, I think, lack of business understanding on the data side. That let's say a lot of people hire people who could program and for to be data analysts. And you go to any of these data analyst courses, and they're actually computer courses. They will teach the Python code to do churn analysis, but that's not business. That's understanding cookbook Python code. And I don't want to down it in any way, but it's not business. And this really, it gets under my skin in a way that it's like a cookbook code. And, it is challenging to do this in a good way and also in a high pressured environment. But if that is the focus of what a data analyst is, then we're losing something here. And that's really the problem, is that these data analysts are supposed to be translating data into sense for business and insight. And people are spending their time doing code or fixing code or trying to learn how to code and looking on the internet and sort of even doing bad code. I'm sorry, but it's sort of the case. And then fixing that bad code, and they're not doing the insight. So it's this sort of vicious cycle, and people don't want to break out of that because there might be some sort of intellectual curiosity or technical purity, to do something difficult and master it. But that's not adding value to the business to work like that. We need to get people who are business people, I think, people who've studied business, who understand business, and enable them to use low-code, no-code tools actually to do that analysis. I think that that's the best way forward. And instead of teaching people some cookbook code, get those people who have a business education and teach them to use the low-code, no-code tools. Teach them about data and how data goes from ingestion into the company and goes through, the different stages to the decision-making. Teach them that, and teach them how to create their analysis using human understandable, natural language tools. There's a lot of that coming into the market. So I think that that's the way forward.
That's a really interesting observation about the use of natural language tools. I'm particularly interested in combining, I call myself a data storyteller, in combining narrative and numbers. Do you think that, what do you think is the best way for those who are crunching through data, making sense of data? What do you think is the best way for them to inform the business about what that means in terms of joining together the numbers and the narrative? How can they best blend those two often unmixable areas?
I think it's the art of storytelling, and that's its own art. And I would love to have business analysts. When I started doing this, when I was a younger person, I was a business analyst, and I was schooled in how you create slides, how you do all this stuff. And I won't say I'm perfect at it, but there was a lot of education around the pyramid method about how you create slides. And if you talk to management consultants, it's like an art, a science, and a religion of how you create these slides. And a lot of that is how to translate data into impactful storytelling. If you go to McKinsey or whatever, they are going to have a lot of opinions about how you do that. And they are impactful in companies. I know people have a lot of opinions about these companies, but they are impactful and they are good at communicating. And I think that this is not something that is necessarily part of the culture of the data people because of what, this code is the culture. So, and I think it's also just understanding that not one person is going to have all of these skills. You have these analytics engineers now, and that's like between the data engineer and the data analyst. So it's putting the business logic and the different definitions into the code. So doing this technical part of being a data analyst now. So it's like translating business logic into SQL. Okay. And I think that that's actually good because that will free up time for business analysts to actually do the storytelling and actually really super duper focus on what, business analysts or management consultants at McKinsey and all these companies do.
I think you make a very good point. One of the things that frustrates me when looking to work with individuals or teams or indeed whole organizations is that they believe data storytelling is data visualization. And I think any amount of brilliant data visualization, which is a very important way because not everybody responds verbally, it's a very brilliant way often of summarizing what the data might mean. My concern and some of the pieces that I've helped to pick up over the years have been that people are an absolute whiz with Tableau or Power BI or any of the packages that are available. But that's where they go first. That's where they go first in order to find out what the data mean. Which, I know that plotting data can suddenly reveal something. It can reveal a J-shaped relationship that you didn't know was there before. I completely get that. I've been a research psychologist, so I know the temptation to do that. But I think that dashing in to use a data visualization tool or suite of tools is the same as saying, right, we've got to go and pitch for this piece of business tomorrow. I'm going to, or next week or next month. If you were McKinsey, it would be next week or next month. You've got to go and pitch for this piece of business. And what we're going to do is we're going to solve the problem that they've got, and we're going to use the tools that we've got. And my first point of call is to open a new PowerPoint deck using a template, or even worse, open an old PowerPoint deck using a template for pitching to somebody else, and we'll make the story around that. So I think you're absolutely right that this using being expert in a particular thing, data visualization does not make one necessarily an expert in storytelling.